What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. This is going to be another messy one, I think. But we're still in the whatever era, so that's fine. And I feel like I've said that a lot in the last few months. Normally in life, there is a thing to cling to follow, like you're following the release of a TV series within your own life. There hasn't been one for me in some time, but it still feels like stuff is happening. Normally, when you're adrift, you feel adrift. Right now, we're adrift, but it doesn't feel like we're adrift. Something is going on. I think, and I felt this way for a while, but the next phase of our adriftness. I mentioned stumbling into that song that set a bunch of stuff off. Music is powerful. It's one of the reasons I tend not to listen to Midnight Society era underground rap much anymore. Because anytime I hear music from that era, all I want to do is drink. But stumbling back into that song I mentioned and seeing that I had commented on it, it feels like lately we are reviewing a lot from the sociopath arc. And I'm a strong believer in the fact everything happens for a reason. I don't know about you, but for me, when my gut tells me to go in a certain direction, it's like the world starts to construct itself around the direction you've moved in or are moving in. And maybe that's a signal telling you that this path is already here. Maybe it's not constructing itself. Maybe your instincts are telling you to get ready to move in this direction because shit is happening here. I'm not sure. But there sure are a lot of coincidences in life. I was lifting weights today, and I lifted a lot, and I hit a point I haven't hit in a while. Between my arms hurting, and I've always been a low volume, high weight guy. But circumstances are making me be a high volume, low weight guy. And all I did today was dumbbell bench. I started at 140, and then when I got tired with that, I went down to 100, and I was hitting reps of those, sets for reps, for hours. Anytime I could get a moment, I would get a set in. And I reached this point, and I've reached this point before. I haven't reached it for a while. I think you can get here from doing low volume, high weight. But it's been a while. In which physically your muscles aren't torn up or anything. You never went outside your comfort zone, but you did so much you freak out your nervous system. And that's something I've noticed is when I feel panicky like this, usually it's because my body is reacting to something that I didn't realize took a toll on me. Because it's a distinct feeling. It's a freaking out and a prolonged freaking out. And I have been today freaking out. Earlier I felt like I was dying. That stopped. But I still feel this impending dread that is keeping me on edge, and that's how you know your nervous system is freaked out. I think a week or two ago it happened. I had an extended range day, and it was really nice. There was almost nobody there. I had basically the place to myself all the time in the world, and I spent a few hours just shooting. And while I was doing it, it felt great. I thought it did go well. I thought everything was fine, and then I get home, and once again I feel like I'm dying. And I realize it's probably a nervous system thing, and I was wondering if the impacts from shooting can shooting make your body react like this? I wasn't shooting intensely. I wasn't doing drills. I wasn't shooting super high caliber guns or anything. But I look at my shoulder and my shoulder's all bruised. I have cuts on my hands. So, yes, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was the impacts, impact stress, nervous system shock. But go figure the way this stuff happens. Today, I took some time, and when I could, I was researching more sociopath stuff, more than I have in a long time, at least going out and looking for it. And I didn't learn anything new, but a lot of old stuff got reinforced, and it got reinforced in, or maybe to a level it didn't before. And that contributed probably to my freaking out. I'm so afraid of the world, and usually I don't feel it. I know it's there, but I have ways to deal with it. Maybe it just, because of the nervous system stuff today, it slipped through, has seeped through, in addition to the sociopath stuff, because they represent not, I'm not a, I like sociopaths a lot, which is weird to say. I'm not afraid of them. Rather, the fact they are as skilled as they are in the things they are, that freaks me out. Because what it means is the ugly side of the world is so much uglier than you can imagine. It's so much more complicated than you can imagine. It's so much trickier than you can imagine. And maybe other people can see it better than I can. I can feel it, and I can see it sometimes, but I don't see all of it. I don't see probably even a small fraction of it. And I certainly don't understand it, not at all naturally. And this is important because this is the life and death shit. And I'm freaked out because I am swimming in these waters. And the only reason I haven't been eaten or killed or imprisoned is, I think, by the grace of God. And I mean that literally. And what I'm most afraid of is my own conscious impotence. My inability to understand these things. I can observe them. Or at least I can observe what I can. But I can't totally understand them. And I can't engage with them the way other people do. And that's another thing that's been freaking me out. Maybe you've experienced this if you're around this channel, if this channel speaks to you in some way. Have you noticed the way people don't like you? We've talked about this a lot before, but it's been sitting with me more prominently lately. There is some disconnect between you and every other, or almost every other, sort of person out there. Actually, we've been talking about this in different language throughout the years, but the word I always come back to is antigen. It's like you are a foreign body in this system, and the blood cells, the white blood cells, know you are not supposed to be here. To the extent you can't even connect or fit in with outsiders. Not that you would want to. It's like this plane of existence is hostile to you. And it scares me that consciously I can't do anything about that. You can try any number of things, but They don't correct anything. They don't make you any more secure. You're a human swimming in the ocean, and you're in shark-infested waters, and you're trying to turn yourself into anything, anything at all, adapted to ocean life, but you're not a shapeshifter. You are just a human. But then that creates the question, how are you where you are? How haven't you drowned yet, even though you've had some close calls? And I've been thinking about this today. Part of it, I think, is my mostly good relationship with my shadow. And when I say that, it doesn't mean going around doing fucked up shit or having the ability to be offensive. I struggle a lot with offense. I don't know how to do it. Or I know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it and get away with it. So typically, I don't do something unless I'm manic or something and don't care or can't care about what might happen. And those situations, now that I don't drink, those don't happen all that often. It feels like my shadow and my deity, whatever it is I'm devoted to something. Those two are my support crew, like XOF in Metal Gear, quotes, in Metal Gear Solid 3. You never see them, but they're always there and you can feel them. I think one of the things my shadow does is it lays traps, it performs reconnaissance, it places defensive measures around me, or does things that will diffuse potential threats before they become actual threats. Because I've thought about this. I don't... Not to discredit my own problem solving or whatever I have that contributes to getting me out of the shit that I get stuck in, but almost always, even if it's not ideal, when I need help or when I need something and I reach in faith, something is there. And often it feels like coincidence. Like a Chekhov's self-defense handgun. So you get into a bad situation, or you end up in a bad situation, you reach and you find maybe not the ideal tool, but a tool that can deal with the situation. And then that's always nerve-wracking because I always feel horribly out of my depth when I have to do stuff like this. I'm not equipped to use this tool to save myself the way it's supposed to be used, or the ideal way to use it. But it doesn't matter, because you remember in Disco Elysium the God please moment? That happens a lot. There is no way I should be able to use this thing to solve the problem, even if this thing can be used to solve problems. But it happens, and I don't know how or why it happened. And this is what I mean by teamwork. It feels like passing skill checks that have been orchestrated by people who are not the player. Let's go back to that God please moment in Disco Elysium. Okay? You need a gun to make a God please shot. Your shadow will see to it through your actions. It's observing. You think you're looking at this, but your shadow is looking at that. You think you're doing this, but your shadow is doing that. Your shadow will see to it when you draw, even if you don't know you have a gun. you do have a gun, so you can make a shot, and then Venus or Hecate or Ishtar guides the shot. And your support team functions in this arrangement only as long as you do or are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes I'll try to go outside my lane, or other people will encourage me to go outside my lane, and I'll try to do it, and the support team isn't there, and then it is just me trying to figure something out, and it goes the way it should go when a person like me is trying to figure something out. Nowhere at best. And I'm grateful for that, and I tend to stay in my lane, moving in whatever direction I'm supposed to be moving in. So I assume they'll continue to have my back as long as I'm serving whatever needs they need served. But it still makes me uneasy because I have no control over it. How would you feel if the method by which you deliver yourself from harm you can't explain and you can't replicate if and when you try? Faith is your method, and faith is a great method, but if you're at all honest with yourself, that's not, and will probably never be, even if you get the solidest proof possible, which is funny to say because it feels like we've already gotten some relatively, quote, solid proof. It'll always be uncomfortable because it's not you doing it. It is being done through you. And you deal with sociopaths sometimes, and it's unnerving because you don't know when they're in which mode for certain, but you can see clearly when they switch modes in dealing with other people. And that switch and how you feel about it is emblematic of how life works and how you feel about life. You're literally walking through the valley of the shadow of death because these are high stakes, and there's no way you can deal with all this. You can't even understand all this. You can't even see all of it. And you realize you're alive and you're this far, or you've come this far, entirely through outside support. Support that you also can't deal with or understand or see completely. But the thing is, this is somewhat comforting because you're not alone and you've gotten this far with help, but it's not entirely comforting because you're part of this equation. You aren't being shepherded through this darkness. You are required to take an active role in your own salvation, if there is to be a salvation. In other words, you can't submit and lay down and let it happen and feel happy, feel comforted, feel like nothing bad is going to happen to you. You need to feel terrified. You need to be as bold as you're needed to be. You are required to do your part in life, in your life. People always talk about handing everything over to God and letting him deal with it. Maybe that does work if you're a Yahweh sort of person. You know, total submission, total subservience, and maybe you'll get some protections. Whereas with this bitch, our bitch. You have a job to do. Hand it over to God and don't worry about it. No, no, you need to be worrying about it. You need to be worrying about everything. You need to do whatever it is you feel in your stomach you're supposed to be doing. And the faith part comes from your belief in your purpose, even if you don't see it. Your faith in the fact, or at least your belief in, whatever it is you're doing for a reason. And the extent to which you place your faith in this instinctive direction is the extent to which you may or may not be protected cosmically. This wasn't supposed to be a Soanan sermon. Let's think about Witchfire again for a second. Sociopaths feel like a different build in a hard game like Witchfire. What you're contending with, what everybody is contending with, is this big, ugly, cruel, hypocritical, uncaring, sadistic world. They put their points in blood, or no, it's flesh, which is health, blood, which is your stamina. They put some points in arsenal to make their firearms better. They put some points in witchery so they can cast more spells. A deeply hands-on, mechanical way of navigating and conquering this ugly life. Whereas you, the only reason you're able to keep pace with anybody to survive in this world at all is you've been putting every single point you have in faith, in Witchfire terms, literally faith, and hoping for the best. And so far, it's been working out. I have real ops. People who actually want me dead or imprisoned or otherwise out of the picture and have the resources to do that. And the only reason I can think of that it hasn't happened is my record is scary. I'm not scary, but my record is scary. And weird things happen around me that some people notice. As in, people who give me trouble tend to die a lot or come into surprise hardship at a rate that is above normal life attrition. And it almost feels like a joke. Every couple months, I'll hear from a person who heard from a person that this or that person died, or they got seriously ill, or in one case their kid died. But it's scary. I don't understand these people. I don't think I can compete with these people, but somehow, whenever I reach, something is there, either to make everything better, or at least to get me out of the situation so I can come up with a plan and come back. And then they die like flies over the long term. Freak accidents. I try to live in as much truth as I can. That's important to me spiritually. And it's upsetting and frightening that you can't live in a world of truth. I lie constantly in the Mansonian way. I didn't know that Manson was known for his honesty, which is honest in the way I'm honest, which is to say I don't fabricate a lot of shit. I'll mislead by using details to paint whatever picture I need to paint, or I'll move things around, change names and stuff. And if I can't do that, then I just won't talk about it. But I can't do that when I don't believe in what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, which is a handicap. And I can't fabricate lie, even if or I can try, but I don't do it well, even when I do believe in what I'm talking about, which is a major handicap. It's shocking to me how much fabrication lying most people do or are doing at all times. And because you're dumb and naive, if a lie sounds reasonable, you're inclined to believe it. And your only alternative, if you want to be suspicious, is to be suspicious of everything because you don't know how to tell a truth from a lie most of the time. And that alone should be a death sentence. It should have been a death sentence, a literal death sentence in some of these cases a long time ago. And somehow it hasn't been. And it's upsetting that, one, I don't think I can do much about that, and two, more unsettlingly, is I don't feel like I'm supposed to do much about that. I'm supposed to stay fucking dumb and naive and be misled easily for my role. And this is another thing, and it's funny, I was thinking about this. I've thought about this before. Talked about it a while ago with the Hierophant thing, but I was given reason to think about that again, and I was thinking about it earlier. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm listening to a video in which a dude happens to describe exactly what I'm talking about. It's an eternalized video. I think it's the most recent one. And I'm not paying super close attention to it, but my ears perk up when he explains this guy's experience with essentially a Hierophant hiding in plain sight who had a profound effect on this dude's life, but otherwise was hidden. And I'm beginning to think that is my role, maybe. Or at least a large part of it. Otherwise, this stagnation that doesn't feel like stagnation. I feel like I'm training for something. I am accruing points, and they are getting put towards something, but I can't see what. Maybe my job is to keep myself ready to influence the people who need to be influenced in whatever way. I am one part of a series of butterfly effects. It's so uncomfortable to say that I am mostly content with life right now. There are a lot of things I worry about that I'm going to have to do something about at some point, but recently I've felt like I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in spite of everything. There are other things to talk about, but I think we will cut it here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.